Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Morning Markets from True Potential. Today, we'll reflect back on some of the very significant moves that we saw in asset markets yesterday, and also look to the day ahead, some of the important data points that we'll be looking out for as an investment team. So just looking at asset markets yesterday, the team have been commenting through the week and indeed the past number of days about the volatility that we've seen. And we often think about volatility in the negative sense, about falling share prices, falling bond prices, etc. Yesterday brought a bit of a change to that, where we saw very significant positive moves across global equity markets. In Europe, the one area that has been very much in the eye of the storm at this point, experienced a very significant move yesterday, with the Euro Stoxx 50 up around 7.4% on the day. And indeed, looking at that back in time, we have to go back a long time in history to see a similar move, back to somewhere in 2008. And that positive backdrop was really, I think, attributable to a number of factors when we look at it and try and think about what was happening in asset markets. We had news that we were potentially going to have a meeting between the Russian foreign minister and representatives of the Ukraine government today in Turkey. Whilst we can't forecast the outcome of that, clearly that does mark a step change in the engagement. So we will look to that today to see if there is anything that comes from those discussions. The other thing that was very noticeable yesterday, we've been talking about the strength in the oil price over recent weeks, and indeed that 30% move that we've seen from the 24th of February. Yesterday we saw the oil price at one point down, and Brent was down around 17%. It did close the day down 12%. And that comes from some comments that came from the United Arab Emirates, one of the members of OPEC. They discussed the potential of OPEC increasing their supply of crude oil into the market. And indeed, that's important because the United Arab Emirates, along with Saudi Arabia, are probably the only two producers with spare capacity at this point in time to meet the gap that's being left in the market from the reduction of Russian crude in the marketplace. So we'll again watch that with interest to see how that plays its way through over coming days. I think the other thing just to really touch on is what we're continuing to look for in terms of the day ahead. As I mentioned, there is the ongoing discussion between Russia and Ukraine in Turkey, but we'll also be looking for comments from the ECB today in terms of their policy direction. Now, whilst we don't expect any change in policy, I think the commentary and the press conference, however, will be important, given that we know the backdrop will be inflationary. It will push inflation rates higher. How do the ECB intend to counter that? In addition, we have some of a European ministers meeting, which might bring forth some discussion on a more coordinated fiscal response as well in Europe. So those are two things from a European perspective. And then in the US, looking at inflation, we already know inflation's elevated. We saw that with the 7.5% number coming through for January. We get February's reading today, so a very important data point ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting next week. I'll leave it there for today, but please do join us again tomorrow when we'll look to discuss those key events.
Subscribing to the True Potential YouTube channel is quick and easy. Simply go to the channel on your desktop or through the YouTube app on your phone and click the subscribe button. You can then press the notification bell symbol if you wish to be notified as and when new videos are released. Doing this is a great way to keep yourself updated with market developments and personal finance insights. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and we look forward to continuing to help you do more with your money.